You are all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. Call to order the Town of Newington Conservation Commission meeting of March the 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Ms. Gibbons, please call the roll.
Ben Ancona III,
Present.
John Bashand,
Here.
John Casasanta,
Here.
Bernadette Conway,
Here.
Richard Leverrier, Alan Paskowitz,
Here.
Andrea Sadil,
Here.
Max Turgeon,
Here.
Jeff Wagner.
Here.
Okay, we have point of order. We're going to see Commissioner Conway for the retired commissioner block. And do I hear that Commissioner Leverrier is not on the line?
No,
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I don't see him in the listing.
He sent an email, Mr. Chairman. Just now.
And what does it say? What's his status?
He won't be attending tonight for
Okay.
personal reason.
All right. In that case, I'm going to seat you, Commissioner Turgeon, since you heard the application on 285 Willard Avenue. I think that'll be appropriate for you to be seated tonight. And if we vote on the permit tonight, I think that would be appropriate. Okay, so I will seat Commissioner Turgeon for Commissioner Secretary Leverrier. Point of order, Mr. Hinckley, who's our alternate secretary if we do have to vote? What is the protocol for that?
Either you or the vice chairman can make the motions. If you want to have the vice chair do it, that's fine. I have the vote sheet, so I'll be able to tally that.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes, sir.
are you, you'll be secretary tonight if
Okay.
necessary?
Okay.
You accept?
I said.
All right, it's important. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
All right.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick point of order. Commissioner Ancona is actually the replacement for Commissioner Block. He was appointed by the council.
Oh, I hadn't heard that, James. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe we did that at the 9th meeting. That's probably why his letter hasn't gone out yet.
Okay.
Okay. Just for my reference, Mr. Block was the Democrat. I assumed as Mr. Ancona switched parties.
No, the party still had an additional seat, I believe, that they could fill. Let me confirm that.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets very confusing.
So I guess I have to reverse my order then, is that I have to unseat Commissioner Turgeon and seat Commissioner Ancona for tonight's debate.
You actually, I believe Ms. Conway was seated for Commissioner Block.
I believe that's correct.
That would be correct.
Not to make anything more confusing. So Mr. Ancona should go on in place of Ms. Conway. And then,
And down.
and you can leave Mr. Turgeon in
We'll seat
place.
for Commissioner Leverrier.
Yep.
Okay,
Can I
I'm
say
sorry.
one thing?
sure. Commissioner
I
Ancona.
was not here last meeting. Does that cause an issue?
Well, the issue is, have you read the minutes and read the debate that we had on that commissioner permit? That's, you can have a right to abstain, or you have, it's your call, Commissioner Ancona, if you feel informed enough to make a decision if we need to vote tonight.
No,
If I could just add, the public hearing is tonight as well, so there'll be a lot of questions asked, so he may be able to educate himself in that time.
Oh, I can? Okay. I have not read that. I have to be completely honest with you.
So,
I mean, I would abstain if you think that's the best option, if I need to read all that.
So have you read the minutes from the last meeting, Commissioner Ancona?
No.
Have you by any chance had a site walk on that property by any chance per our directive?
No.
Okay.
And one question, where do you see the minutes on that? I usually get an email. I didn't get an email.
Well, I believe that the minutes
Well,
came in a package on Saturday.
I don't think I got it. I don't know. I have
The
to look.
minutes come in the mailed packet, and they're also linked on the agenda. So if you were to go
Oh.
online and hit it, you'd
Okay.
see them.
My apologies.
No, no problem. So Mr. Ancona
Still getting used to this.
can stay seated, and when the time comes to vote, he can choose to vote how he feels. Because you just can't unseat him. Because he's
Okay. All right. So Commissioner Ancona is staying and is seated and will have voting this evening if necessary. Okay,
Okay.
If I might add, Mr. Commissioner,
sure. Is this who's speaking?
John Bashand.
Commissioner Bashant?
I think in that issue, in that situation, he would decide at that time if he felt like recusing or voting. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Right, and my question is, I can't order a replacement. Commissioner Conway was at the last meeting. I can't do a last minute alternate substitution. Is that allowed? If the vote is tight and is a tiebreaker necessary, can I see Commissioner Conway in his place?
you just can't change the batting order when it comes to voting. I believe since he's a full member and he's here, he can sit. I mean, and then when it comes to vote, he can abstain.
Yeah.
All right, I just
That's-
want to, this is unusual, so thank you. Let's proceed. Item 4, acceptance of minutes from the regular meeting of February 16th, 2021.
Mr. Chairman, you
Are
jumped
any
over one.
additions or corrections from the commission?
Mr. Chairman,
You skipped over public
Oh,
participation.
sorry, there I go. I'm sorry, I'm all screwed up tonight.
you want to get moving right along.
Item 3, public participation of non-agenda items. I'm sorry. That's, is there anyone online waiting to comment on non-agenda items?
We do have one attendee on. If they're interested in speaking, they can use *9 on their telephone or the raise hand feature in the Zoom application. At this point, it does not look like they are interested in speaking generally.
Okay, we shall proceed. Now, item 4, acceptance of minutes from the meeting of February 16th, 2021. Are there any additions, corrections from the commission this evening? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. May I have a motion to accept the minutes from the regular meeting of February 16th, 2021 Conservation Commission?
I accept them. Wagner, Commissioner Wagner.
Seconded by Commissioner Wagner,
I'll second John Bashand.
seconded by John Prashant. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And there'll be one abstention from Mr. Ancona.
Yes.
There'll be one abstention from it. So what is the vote count tally there, Ms. Gibbons?
I'm sorry, I had you on mute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. 1, 2. 8, 1, 8, 1.
8-1. Okay. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 5. Public hearing for application 2021-01, 285 Willard Avenue for a single-family home within the regulated area. Owner applicant John Vidlovsky, 529 Middle Road, Farmington, Connecticut, 06032. Mr. Hinckley, can we read in the public notice?
Yes, as soon as I see it up on the screen, I will go. Application 2021-01, 285 Willard Avenue for a single-family home within the regulated area. Owner applicant is John Woldowski, 529 Middle Road, Farmington, Connecticut, 06032. And this was published originally on, I believe, February 17th, 2021.
Okay. So we shall proceed. Is the applicant present?
I have not seen him come in yet, Mr. Chairman.
Hmm.
Great.
Point of order, can we skip over to new business? If the town engineer is here, can we vote to adjust our minutes until the applicant can arrive for the public hearing and
Yeah, you could table this issue for now. And if he shows up, that's fine. We can have the discussion with the town engineer. And then if he doesn't come up, we'll just table it till the next meeting and leave the public hearing open and go from there.
okay, do we need to vote on the agenda change?
You probably should.
Commissioner Paskowitz has his hand raised as well.
Commissioner Paskowitz,
Well, before you just started this dialogue, I was going to ask if we could speak to Gary regarding the property, but since you're moving on to the next area of business, I'll just wait to that time as opportunity for me to do that.
okay, can I have a motion from the commission to table item 5, the public hearing, move on to new business section 6 and switch the agenda for the sake of the applicant? Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to that point. You just made Chairman Still.
Moved by Commissioner Paskowitz. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Casasanta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's 8-0.
8-0.
So moving to new business, general permit 1 discussion. I believe we have the town engineer online and is ready to do his presentation. Please proceed,
Yes.
Mr. Furstenberg.
Good evening, Commissioners.
If I may, just as a way of presentation real quickly, before I let Gary speak, the general permit expires next month. We usually give that out for 5 years. It's included in your packet, how it reads. This topic always comes up, so we put it on for the month before. You guys can have some discussions with the town engineer. If there's things you want to tweak, change, or ask questions about, feel free. And then we'll take all those comments, see what we can get together and vote to adopt or approve at next month's meeting. So sorry, Gary, go ahead.
No problem. Thank you very much, Eric, for the introduction there. So again, as Eric noted, this is just renewing an existing permit that we have in place. In summary, this permit allows the town to maintain drainage ways throughout town, where they get clogged with whatever debris, downed trees, garbage, you name it. Somehow it ends up in those low-lying spots. So periodically, this allows us to periodically go through and remove those blockages for the most part to restore drainage. I know I recall in the past that there may have been some discussion possibly regarding, this permit is for the town. However, when we need specialized equipment, then we need to hire subcontractors to do this work. And those subcontractors would be covered under this permit also, because the work that the subcontractor would be doing would be coordinated and oversaw by engineering staff and the town. We're not making a change to the old permit, to my knowledge, are we, Eric? I think it's just the same language.
It's the same language we're proposing. Sometimes the commissioners tweak it here and there, but this has pretty much been the general theme of the permit since I've been around.
So, I mean, with that, I mean, it's a sort of a broad-based permit that, again, that allows us to maintain, whether it be swales or pipes or culverts. That's all part of the town drainage system. With that, I can take questions.
I had a question, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Bashan.
Yeah, so about 3/4 of the way down that main paragraph there, and I hear an echo here. I have two devices on, so sorry about that. It says, and I like the language, but I just want to try to find it again. I'm sorry. The department head of the various town departments working in the regulated area shall notify the administrative officer, wetland agent in writing in advance of the proposed activity as to the scope, timeline, means, methods of intended activity. So I like that language, but I'm just curious. I gotta try to turn this other thing off here, sorry. Regarding emergencies, it doesn't say in an emergency that wouldn't have to get approval from the wetland agent. So the question is about emergencies.
So if it's an emergency, John, what typically has happened in the past is they will go out and do what they need to do. And I'll just get a little note afterwards that this is what they did. And, you know, we just do the best we can. I'll go back there and out and take a look at it. And if we need to do a little dressing or restoration, we take care of it. But otherwise, I usually get an email from Gary because he usually coordinates this for parks and other departments or highway. And, you know, they tell me their approximate timeline and their scope of work. And usually we get a little map sometimes as well.
Yeah, and it seems to make sense, but I'm just wondering if we need any language in there that references emergencies. That's my only point. Otherwise, I'm good with it.
You know, we hadn't had that language, and you're right, John, that we hadn't had that language. It certainly could help. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that, I mean, we have a good working relationship, the town does, with the wetland agent. So, I mean, we've each got each other on, speed dial pretty much on our phones. And, you know, we can text and stuff like that too, if need be. So, I mean, that's kind of the process that we would use if we got to an emergency situation.
Even after hours, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean,
that sounds fine.
Anybody can text me or call me pretty much 24/7. So same thing with Eric. You know, I mean, we're that's what we do.
Okay.
Any other comments from commissioners?
None
I
here.
don't see anyone with their hand up.
So you're right. It does say in writing. So maybe we could add, in writing or via text or voicemail in the emergency situations. That would certainly allow us a little more flexibility in those, after hour situations like you referenced, John.
Yeah, you're right, because I just saw it again in writing in advance. So yeah, that does create a little bit of a problem.
It could, and I like your foresight, in seeing that. Yeah.
So Mr. Hinckley, what is the edit to the document? Can we read that back to make sure we capture that intent?
Yeah, I didn't take notes. We can just say in the event of, we can also just say in the event of emergency, the wetland agents be notified within 24 hours of the event or something along that line. Because honestly, if there's a blockage or something in the brook and we're going to clean it out, they're not going to call me out there on a Saturday night at 2 a.m. to go look at it to let them do it. They're just going to do it because we're there to make people safe and keep property safe as we can. And we'll go back in afterwards and do what we need to do. So it's whatever kind of language you guys would like as the commission. You can have a discussion about it if you're done talking with Gary or whatever. And I'll certainly draft something up for the next meeting if that's what you guys would like.
So to
that point, Eric, we're going to do whatever we need to do as a town to protect the town infrastructure, to protect the town property, to protect private property. That's what we're going to do. The bottom line.
I mean,
Commissioner
the general, the intent of the general permit are for these maintenance projects typically that the town would do, so they don't have to constantly come back and forth to the commission and get a permit or get permission. This grants them that allowance to do these minor maintenance things and whatnot. And typically, you know, the emergency thing honestly really hasn't ever come up. No one's ever questioned me about it or the prior agents that I'm aware of. So.
I think it could be John Bashani, I think it could be as simple as just adding one sentence, you know, that says something like with the exception of an obvious emergency.
If I may add.
If there's a consensus on that, it even needs to be addressed, so.
Well, what I was going to suggest, at the end of the third paragraph, to stick the sentence, in the event of emergency, what would you see there? Just append a sentence on the end of that second, the center paragraph. Just append it to that paragraph, some words to that effect. Then in the event of an emergency.
I'm just taking notes, so.
I mean, just one other comment to consider. I mean, essentially, it's great foresight to include the emergency actions, but I mean, this is really for maintenance, what I consider, you know, scheduled maintenance. And, you know, the emergency actions may likely fall outside of this permit, possibly. But if you want to include it, you can certainly include a provision for that.
I believe Mr. Casasanta is ready to speak.
Commissioner Casasanta, I can't see everybody at once. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Commissioner Casasanta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last time we approved the general permit, we discussed it at length. And I'm fairly happy with the wording in the scope of the permit. I really don't see a need to tweak it or change it. We put in quite a bit of work on it 5 years ago when we reapproved this. I don't see the necessity to have an emergency provision in there. To declare an emergency is there's some level of subjectivity to it. I mean, what might be an emergency to somebody might not be. All I'm saying is it opens up ambiguity and like the town engineer said, this permit is really just intended to cover the scope and duties of normal activity that town staff does. So really, I see no reason to really amend the permit unless there's something specific that needs to be addressed.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Bashant.
and so instead of emergency, let's say immediate action, because it does include, the activities do include removing accumulated materials from water courses. And so, you know, if you have a blocked culvert or something, so it would need immediate action. And since over here we're requiring advance notice, then I think there should be an exception for immediate actions. Or immediate intervention, whatever you want to call it. So it's not a big deal to me, but I think it's, you know, since we are spelling out in writing in advance, I think that could leave the, you know, whoever's doing the work in some potential jeopardy. Let's put it that way. I don't think we're going to go after them, but.
Commissioner Paskowitz.
Yes, I'm going to concur with Commissioner Casasanta. We did spend an enormous amount of time on this 5 years ago. We had roundtables going for hours and another day and such. And I think this is a general permit and we should leave it as a general permit. And I think the town is already knowledgeable of emergency measures and how to communicate with each other. I don't think that needs to be put in writing. That's my opinion.
Commissioner Wagner, do you have a preference? I want to poll the rest of the commission, what they feel about this, to leave it as written, or you think some additionals need to be made?
I think it could be leaved as written. I don't see a need to add it. If there's gonna be emergency, town's gonna do what they need to do it.
Commissioner Turgeon.
Yeah, I appreciate Commissioner Bashan's foresight on that, but I kind of, I've read through it and I think I agree with the point Commissioner Casasana made that it might be a little, there might lead to some ambiguity there. So I would say it's good as is.
Commissioner Ancona, you have a comment?
No, I do not.
Okay. Commissioner Conway?
No, I have nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And again, you don't have to vote on this tonight because it's new business. So it's just going to be on April's meeting. And if we're not going to make any
But
changes, yep.
I would caution the commission that the permit expires Monday prior to our meeting on the 19th. So we must vote on the 20th. So that's why I want to spend a little time so this goes through nice and easy. So on Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, actually, they can, heaven forbid, they can schedule work. So be technical about it, right?
Absolutely.
You were going to say something, Mr. Hinckley, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, so if whatever changes you want, just like you said, I'll get them on paper. And if we're going to leave it, then I'll just draft up what we need to draft up. So it's your decision.
I'm of the opinion.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Chairman?
Who speak? Mr. Commissioner.
Commissioner Casasana. Commissioner Casasana. Can I be recognized, please?
Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking, unless we decide to put the emergency provision in, and we're not changing this, I don't see any reason why we can't vote on this tonight, especially if it's due to expire before our next scheduled meeting. I see no controversy in it. It's been working well. Why don't we just get this taken care of rather than, unless there's, we agree on changes. If we agree that there's some changes that have to be made, of course, we really can't do that till the next meeting. But if we're going to leave it as is, I'd say vote on it tonight if possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Bashan.
Yeah, I agree. And if there's not going to be a change, I think that it wouldn't have hurt to have the change. But if we're pressed for time, I agree with Commissioner Casasanta. As long as Eric, there's no reason why we can't vote on it tonight, right? It's not like an application from for a different.
No, you would just have to, table it and then just move it to old business tonight on tonight's agenda.
All right. So again, I agree with if the commission concurs that there's no changes needed, then I'm not going to protest that. So.
Mr. Hinckley, is there any preparation for the vote that you need? Can we take in
I would just do a roll call vote if you're all in agreement and you don't want any language changes. And then, like I said, you should just, close it here in new business, move it to old business. And then vote on it under old business.
So do we have to vote on that agenda change once again?
Yes.
Okay. So in that case, I'd like to have a motion to move item 6A to item 7B on the agenda under old business.
So moved.
So moved.
Alan, Mr. Paskowitz, did you have a question? There's been.
No, I was going to make the motion as
Okay.
accepted.
So moved by
sorry.
Commissioner. Who made the motion?
Max Turgeon. Sorry, Commissioner Paskowitz.
Moved by Commissioner Turgeon. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Paskowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. So that's, Ms. Gibbons, that's 7-0.
8,
8-0.
8, nothing.
Who's the eighth person? It's me, Commissioner Bashan, Commissioner Wagner, Commissioner Paskowitz. Well, you're counting Commissioner Conway?
Yes, she was seated, correct? No?
Actually,
Oh,
she
no,
was,
she's,
she was the alternate. Correct?
correct. So
You,
she,
you could, actually, all of you can vote on this one. It's
All
not an
right.
application, so.
All right, then it's 8-0.
yes,
All right, thank you.
So, a point of order again, Mr. Chairman, when you get to the old business section, since you
You got to
moved
vote
the,
again.
well, so no, yes, but since you moved that public hearing, we should check on that. If they're not there, we can just table that until the next
Right.
meeting, if that individual is
Correct.
not
I was
here.
gonna do that next, so.
Gotcha.
Is the applicant on the line? We're moving back now to item 5, public hearing, application 2021-01, 285 Willard Avenue. Is the applicant online?
I do not see the applicant online. I do see the former chairman with his hand raised to comment. I know he was looking to do that from the last meeting's comments, but at this point, the applicant is not present.
All right, so when we go to point of order, we can now open the hearing. We will allow Mr. Zelik to speak, and we will hold the commissioner. Is that acceptable, Mr. Hinckley?
No, the applicant should be here for the public hearing part. He should, in case there's something said, that he should be able to,
That's
you know,
true.
refute or whatever, or discuss. Nobody should be no questions to the town engineer about the application or anything, just like when I mentioned about the site walk, don't discuss it with anybody until, we get to that public hearing phase. That's my recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley. So the public hearing is open and will remain open to the April meeting.
I had a comment to that.
Commissioner Paskowitz.
Yes, would it be fruitful if someone just could briefly text him and see if he's available? Or whomever?
I can try and call him real quick. Let me see if I have his application here. I'm gonna mute myself.
I do have his application. I can put up on the screen if you need it.
I just spoke to the gentleman. It slipped his mind. He's gonna try and go find his email and get on. So if you want to take care of the action with the general permit, you can do that, and then we can.
Well, actually, if
Or
we go to
however,
old business, that item is 7A, and then we would go to 7B for the general permit. That's another agenda change, Mr. Hinckley.
so we can either wait around for him.
Let's go to
because you're still-
recess. We're gonna take a recess for 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, all right? We're in recess, right?
If that's what you'd like, that's fine.
Or we can stay online and wait.
Yeah, we can all just, if you want to go for recess for a couple minutes, we'll let James let us know when the
All right, do we have to vote on
individual
the
gets online.
recess? Do we have to vote on the recess?
No, you can just call it, I believe.
Okay, so we're in recess for 5 minutes. We're in recess for
Hold
5
on.
minutes.
Hello? You don't see it? All right, hold on 1 second.
Eric, just have him go to our virtual meetings page on our
So
website.
if you go to the town website, and go to the virtual meeting section, and you can find our meeting tonight and just click on that link, and then the town clerk will move you over. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Hinckley, you're there. It's 7:40 by my watch.
I am here. I can call him again if you like, or if you just want to table it.
I'm actually logging in. I'm going to try resending him the invitation.
Okay.
For the record, Ms. Gibbons, we went into recess at 7:34 for the record.
Yes, I have that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
I'm sorry, my wife's just trying to help me out.
Okay, I think he's also going to resend you the link as well through email.
The link because,
I think he did.
oh,
I think he just sent it. He told me he was going to, so it should be in your email. Under the let's see what email address. Same one you got last time. John Waldowski at Gmail. That's where he sent it. If you can't find it in there, like I said, you can go to the Town of Newington webpage. And if should be, it says virtual meetings, and there'll be a link for the conservation meeting.
Eric, you should see that in his email right now.
So what's this Newington? What's the website over here? What's that?
They're trying to find it on the town page, James.
Direct them, government tab, virtual meeting schedules on the left-hand side.
So if you go, I'm sorry, if you go to the top of the page,
Top of the
Go.
page, the government tab, just put their
where it
mouse
says
over.
government, the top of the page should be a tab that says government. Click on that, and there'll be and then there'll be something that says virtual meeting schedule. Click on that, and they'll take you to the page, and it'll have today's meetings on there, I believe. It's for conservation meeting today's date. Yeah, no, 7 p.m. conservation. So if you, it's just, there's no link there. Yeah. No, if you just click the link, you should be able to go, and it'll bring you in. It should, and then the town clerk will move you over. No, you should be able to. Isn't it just a link, James?
That's correct. The link is there. You can see Joint Shared Services, then Conservation Commission, then Board of Parks and Recreation. All three of them are listed on the page. I'm looking directly at them.
Yeah, they're having some trouble. I guess they're not seeing the same thing. No, it should just be a link that you hit. You shouldn't have to type everything in.
Yeah, just click it.
Just click the link to join. Still can't find it? When you hit on the tab for virtual meetings, it should take you to a schedule. You shouldn't have to. You should just be able to hit join the meeting. Yeah, hit the Zoom link for the conservation. It won't let them in, James, they said.
What is it saying when they click the link?
It's asking them to either to register for a webinar.
We don't
That's
have
what
any.
they're telling me.
Is it, Commissioner Wagner, is it possible that they can just put on speakerphone, we can talk that way, or do they have to be part of the meeting?
Can you also try to send it on a different, my wife's phone, email?
I can't send it, but if you give me the email, I'll see if it can get sent there. Uh-huh. J.
Another J, W, and like Maria, at yahoo.com.
Apple.
At yahoo.com.
The Apple. Or just.
Jane, K,
Uh-huh.
JWM
Right.
at yahoo.com.
The Apple. Just the Apple or just Apple?
At yahoo.com.
It's at yahoo.com. What's the web at the beginning of it?
JANEKJWM at yahoo.com.
That should come to him in just a moment.
He sent it.
Okay. Let's see. There. Okay. Gmail Zoom invite. Okay. Right.
All right, you got it then?
Okay, let's see. Join a meeting. Register for this webinar.
Why is it doing that?
Just hit join the meeting.
Yep, and it says meeting ID number.
It's asking for the meeting ID number for him, James, I guess.
I don't know why it's doing that. ID
Yeah.
number is going to be.
Here's the number.
If I can get it to come up. Why is it not?
Or is it in the email, James?
No, it's not in that one.
Okay.
835
835
4371
4371
0967.
0967.
0967. And join. Oh. Hold on.
I'm going to ask them for a passcode.
437109667. And then it says join, right? Join.
Mm-hmm.
But then it says waiting, and then it says meeting passcode.
And what's the passcode, James? I'll give it to you.
172
172
949.
949. She said it's asking him to register for the webinar now.
And,
Would it just be better if we table this till next month?
I think we're gonna
so I
have.
don't want to hold the commissioners on, though. This is their evening here, you know, we've had trade half
Okay.
a dozen times already.
Certainly, we went above and beyond, I'd say, but
I don't have anything that requires a registration on this, so I'm not sure why it's doing this.
I had the same problem myself and I missed a meeting because I could not register and put all these numbers in that you are now doing. So the site needs to be tweaked
Oh, the site
because
is
I had the
doomed.
same problem.
To Hinckley.
James, could it be, I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner, James, could it be some security measures that they have, or if someone has, high security on their email or something?
No, the only other issue could be that they have an old version or they haven't downloaded Zoom onto their software, which means they need to open it in their browser, but it shouldn't be asking them to register for this webinar. We don't do registration.
You guys ready to call it?
How close are they?
Doesn't sound like they're very close.
Yeah, and another
Alan.
thing, I wanted them to go over the map. I want to go over that new map and present the map and see what the changes were, that sort of thing. Point that out to the commissioners, the
All right,
detailed
so-
changes.
Everyone there, whatever technical difficulties, there is too much to overcome right now. So I told them we were going to push them back to next month. So we should just table the public hearing, not have any
Okay, time
discussions
out. I'm
about
gonna
it.
go back in
tonight.
session. It's now 7:54. We're
Sorry.
back in session.
All right, so I'll repeat that. They're having some kind of technical difficulties. So I told them we're just gonna table it till next month because we've already been waiting an hour almost for them. So we won't discuss this or any aspects of it tonight. And we'll make sure that we'll get a couple emails from them for next month's Zoom invite, and we'll go forward from there.
All right, thank you. Moving on to section 8, old business. Item A, we're going to table that as well. I think at this time the applicant's not online. We're going to table 8A until table that to the next meeting. Correct, Mr. Hinckley? There's nothing else
That's
to report
correct.
there.
So the public hearing will be on for next month, and it'll be on old business again, so we can take action.
Okay. Moving on to the agenda change. Old business item B, general permit number 1. 2021 general permit adoption. Any further discussion from the commission? Seeing none?
None.
Can I have a motion to accept general permit number 1 as written?
I put in a motion, Commissioner Wagner, to accept it, general permit number 1,
As written.
as written.
May I have a
I
second?
I second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Casasanta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, abstentions? None. Motion passes.
I would just point out, Mr. Commissioner, it does have the former chairman's name on the bottom of it, the copy I have.
Correct, it does. I will adjust that for the memo that goes out to all the department heads.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Bashant. All right. Moving on to item 8, public participation on non-agenda items. Each speaker has 2 minutes. Is there anyone online, Mr. Kapinski?
We do have a gentleman online. He has raised his hand. I will unmute and allow him to talk.
Non-agenda item.
Non-agenda item. Jeff Selleck, former chairman of the commission. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Resident for 30 years, served on the commission for 14 years. I was chairman for 3 years. I've never seen a public hearing postponed or tabled. The purpose of a public hearing is to allow the public to speak. I was patiently waiting and I was denied my right to speak at a public hearing. If the applicant chooses to not attend or have technical difficulties, I don't believe you have the option to table that public hearing. Again, I feel as though my right to speak was denied this evening in a public hearing. I would like a legal opinion from the town attorney as to whether a public hearing can be tabled when the applicant is not present.
Okay.
I'll look into that. I'll send something to the town attorney.
All right. Anyone else online, James?
No one else at this time, Mr. Chairman.
All right, moving on to item 9, communications and reports. Item A, agent communications.
I have 2 items. I did 2 agent approvals in the last month. One was for a building addition and minor grading in the URA at 63 Vivian Street. And I reviewed this with both the chairman and the town engineer. The town engineer and I met in the field with the homeowner because this is in conjunction with a town project as well. So they're just trying to get some sheet flow off of their yard. The other one was another agent approval for an above ground pool in the URA at 26 Francis Avenue. And that's all I have to report.
Mr. Hinckley, I think we have another person on the line. Can we permit them to speak? Go back to item 8.
That is the same individual.
Shall we? Is he still there? Should we reverse and allow him to speak?
If that's what you'd like to do, that's fine.
Do we have to vote on that? There was silence there. I moved on to the next agenda item. Do we have to vote on that? Because we moved past that item?
I think if he was still there, I mean, if he wasn't done speaking.
James, go back to item 8, allow the public to, Mr. Zelik, to speak.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Should be active.
I was done speaking, Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay, because your hand came up again. Okay, very well. Moving on, communications and reports, item B, town council liaisons and communications. Councilor Bedrejko, do you have anything to report to the commission?
I'm not sure if you guys are interested or not, but two things that are sort of conservation-y issues. At the 223 meeting, MDC appeared, Scott Jellison, Bill DeBella, and one of their financial and legal advisors. And basically they were called in reference to the backflow that were of the sewage and the water for 8 homes in the Brookdale, Greenlawn, and Taft area. But I don't, and that has nothing to do with this, but the discussion in general overall is general in terms of the condition of the MDC underground infrastructure in Newington and the whole issue of groundwater. Apparently what's been happening is a lot of the properties in Newington, the sewer systems are not built to, nor are they meant to absorb water taken from sump pumps. And all this water coming from private properties is starting to overwhelm the sewer systems. And there's 128 miles of sewer in Newington. And, as part of the clean water program, they're going to be getting lined little by little as well. And right now, about 20% of those have been lined. But what's happening is that the MDC is not responsible for groundwater. They're just, it's just the sewer system that they're supposed to be responsible for. And it is illegal to discharge the groundwater from the sump pumps into the sewer systems. And more groundwater is surcharging over the existing, old infrastructure. And it is overwhelming a lot of the pipes. And the more of the pipes that they're going to start fixing, the groundwater is going to get higher and higher, because obviously, you guys know that, we don't have sand underneath. It's mostly clay, and it doesn't, absorb the water very well. So all that water is going to the sewer pipes, and it's going to be more problematic. And particularly as, we do more and more development, unless the water's, not able to drain appropriately. And, I just thought it was kind of it's a conundrum that, we're going to have to deal with, and any solution is going to be extensive and expensive. So was one issue that, you just might be interested. And the other one occurred, actually, it's a TPZ. TPZ is having a public hearing about allowing poultry, and it's expanded the draft regulations as it is now initially it was just chickens and now it's chickens, ducks and turkeys. So I don't know if I really don't know if there's any concerns from a conservation perspective. I mean, personally, I can imagine some people, you're going to have people who abide by the rules, and then you're going to have people dumping waste into the wetlands. But if you want to read the regulations, the draft regulations, you can go into the TPZ minutes and agendas. It doesn't mention anything about a certain amount of, it has to be a certain amount. And I don't know if it has to be or not. I mean, you guys are the experts of it. Is there any wetlands issue? Like it should be a certain number of feet away from a wetlands or anything? I mean, I don't really know, but in case there is something you want to look at. Like I said, the regulations are on the TPZ website, and the next public hearing was extended. There was a public hearing last week, and it was continued because there seemed to be a lot of interest on both sides of the issue. That's it.
Okay. Any questions from the commission to Councilor Bedrejko?
Yes, Commissioner Pasco.
Paskowitz.
I've had some entry into that area when I was volunteering for the Soil Conservation Service in 1992, which is now NRCS. And as NRCS stands, they oversee and monitor influence of pollutants from animals on properties towards wetlands and river water courses. They have been going to properties primarily that are farmland, horse, sheep, farms, that nature, mostly in the Coventry rural areas. And they've been helping them build with grant money. Actually, let's take, for example, like a stable where the manure is actually composted on site. They have a solar panel to work with the system, and they've been vehemently working on that with grant money with the federal government now for a number of years. I have a friend here who lives in Newington who owns an equestrian girls ranch in the Stafford area. That's how I became knowledgeable of that specific design and system. This has been concentrated mostly in rural areas. When I worked in Marlborough and East Hampton area, there were sites that were looked at by the town health department specifically for potential problems where there were maybe quite a few horses or quite a few cattle or certain poultry on land. It's been mostly concentrated for rural areas, but as you say, we're trying to bring this into a zoning application or permitting in Newington. I don't know how large a degree of this would be an influence in Newington, but you make a good point because we are limited in, looking at that. That's just my take on that discussion at this point.
Commissioner Bashant, did you have your hand up?
Well, I've been advocating for chickens for a while, so I'm not opposed to it. I appreciate town councilor's concern about the waste. So we do have to make sure that there's some rules written into that and maybe some penalties if people, are going to dump it illegally or improperly. As far as the MDC issue over on Brookdale, I was actually called in to consult with a couple of those people, and it looks like the anecdotal evidence is not it was a blockage in the sewer, not necessarily just an inflow of groundwater, but that's probably never going to be able to be proven, unfortunately. Those people did have a lot of damage, so I only caught part of that meeting. There was one interesting thing that the MDC commissioner brought up, or the chairman or whoever it was that was speaking, and it does have to do with us. He was talking about a 2-pipe system. Right now we have a 1-pipe system. All of our sewage is going through 1 pipe, and originally all our stormwater went through the same pipe. They're trying to separate it now. a lot of our houses have direct connections, so it's not even a sump pump. It's actually a Y off of the main sewer under the floor. And these people on Brookdale actually have that. So he talked about a 2-pipe system, which would be great. It's just that it's almost, it'd be so costly to do now. And for those people specifically on Brookdale, when the high water line in the brook is actually higher than their basement floor, you couldn't do it anyway. So a 2-pipe system would take your stormwater and go directly to the local tributary, which again is a great idea, but not when you're in such a low line, you know, that close to a water course, it wouldn't work. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners?
Yeah, I'd like to expand
Commissioner
on.
Paskowitz?
Yes, I'd like to expand on John Sean's comment addressing Gail Bodraco. This has been an ongoing problem in Newington. I've lived here for 69 years. They have literally re-excavated my street in front of this house at least 4 times through contractors in MDC in the matter of time that I've been here prior to my parents. And as Gail spoke, it's mostly clay. And I actually was observing the excavation here in my street, which was of about a lateral distance, I'd say, of 200 feet, which they had been opening up for a number of years. They finally came up with a design system to put in a mat over the clay at the base and then put layers of trap rock stone on top of that and warm matting, almost like a folding effect up the size of the walls of the excavation, so that the pipe that they were going to replace with would not drop. So that I have seen and observed personally right here on my street. And to redo all these pipes in the whole town, as Gail brought up and John, it's physically not possible to do. So we are in a conundrum with this infrastructure in this old New England town. And I don't know how it's going to be remedied. And the more development we put in, I'm not anti-development. We have to look at engineers have to look at that very, very closely on how that is going to be accepted in our infrastructure to modify that new disposal into the old with some type of system that I have no knowledge of. So that's my personal view on what this discussion is that came forth on. Thank you.
All right. If there's no further discussion, thank you, Councilor Bodraco, for presenting.
Mr. Chairman, if I will, just one final comment, only because it's something that interests me, but it is somewhat related to our business here, and we've actually had applications to that effect. These tunnels that you hear about, the big storage tunnel from Hartford to West Hartford, that's the biggest part of the clean water project, the biggest cost. I believe it's one of the single biggest costs. That is just to store this excess ground inflow or groundwater inflow. There's another term they use, but and so that it doesn't get discharged into the Connecticut River or the Weathersfield Cove. So just to throw that in there, that's most of you probably are aware of that, but it's because all this extra groundwater in a storm event, the sewer is surging and flowing at a much higher capacity, and the treatment plant can't keep up with it. So they're going to store it in this giant tunnel. And after the storm event, then they'll pump it out and treat it when they can. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. So if no objection, we move on to item 9C, Pond Life Research and Education. Commissioner Paskowitz, do you have anything to report this month?
No, I think I'm going to hopefully work towards something this coming spring and moving forward on that area when it becomes more weather conditionable. So we'll look forward to something in the future, near future. Thank you.
All right. So if that concludes section 9, No further discussion. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, John Bashand.
Motion moved by Commissioner Bashant. Do I have a second?
Second by Commissioner Paskowitz.
Second by Commissioner Paskowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Have a good night. See you next month. Stay safe. Stay well.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Right.
Good night.